YouTube, it's TCG here and welcome back to another TCG video on my channel. As you know, on my channel you get the latest competitive TCG information in town, so be sure you are subscribed so you don't ever miss out, and also click that little notification bell, that way you get notified immediately when a new video hits the channel. And if you enjoy the video at any given point, be sure to demolish the like button, that always supports the channel tremendously. Without further ado, this video is all about the World Championships and the best decks. I'm going to be ranking them, so this is a tier list, that way you get actually some knowledge here on which decks you can expect at the World Championships, which decks are going to perform well, and which decks are just very consistent overall. So yeah, let's get the show on the road with the first deck on the list. I'm just going to talk about PikaRom. PikaRom is just fantastic. It still keeps its main core. We have Electromagnetic Radar, being able to search out Lightning GXs. Think about your Zera Aura for the free retreat. Think about the Dana GX for some draw engine cards. We also have the new item card, the Stadium Navigator and Unified Minds. That way you can search out your Thunder Mountain Prism Star finally without having to rely on that yeah, very inconsistent Lizaya. That means you can just use Voltner, get your Stadium Navigator, get of course one heads, and bam, you get your Thunder Mountain. That way you're one step away from using full blitz on your first turn. We also have the, yeah, you're just gonna be using the Voltner engine, because with Voltner you can search out Communication, and Communication, that means that you can search out your Tapu Koko Prism Star or your Stadium Navigator for the Thunder Mountain Prism Star. So Voltner is gonna be the way to go with this guy, with this deck, and you also can use the Denu as your draw engine, so that way you can draw cards and still play a Voltner. That way it's fantastic. And yeah, it's just very consistent overall, and it almost has a full, yeah, turn 1 full blitz almost every single game, so that's why I do think it's gonna be fantastic. Not only that, a lot of the GX based decks will be running the Dene GX, and the Dene GX of course only has 160 HP. You can snipe that with that Tag Bolt GX, and that's why I think, yeah, PikaRom is still deserving at the tier 1 stadium here. Next up, we're just gonna talk about which deck I'm gonna pick here. Yeah, Rayquaza. Rayquaza's tier 3. I know Rayquaza is one of those decks that a lot of people were hyped for at the beginning of Celestial Storm. It had its peak with the Vikavolt. Now it's rotated out, but it still can be played with Naganadel and some beast ring shenanigans. I think it's only tier 3 because there's a better way to be playing a deck with Naganadel, and that's going to be Blacephalon. Blacephalon is very, very amazing. It upgrades so well against tag teams that I have to put it at the tier 1 list. Why is that? Because you can just yeah, use that Mind Blown for an infinite amount of damage. We have Welder, we have the charging up of Naganadel, we have the Welder. There's a lot of things that you can just get energies into play, and that's why you can use Mind Blown for infinite amount of damage. One shot attack team, get 3 prize cards. If they knock out your GX, you can maybe rely on Persian. You can maybe use some draw engine with the Naganadel GX, the new one, to draw some cards. This deck is just amazing all around. You just have to be careful to dodge a little bit of Finnies, but I don't think Tapu Fini will be in a lot of decks, because only the decks with Communication can run, of course, the Tapu Fini. And they still have to find it at the correct time, so there's that. Next up, we're gonna talk about Keldeo. Keldeo is only tier 3. It's a pain in my heart to say that, but I tested out Keldeo. Keldeo has auto losses against things that run Power Plant. Not only that, it can be one-shot by a lot of things. A lot of decks still have non-GX attackers in the form of, like with the Blacephalon, we have Naganadel, which can attack for 80 damage, and if you have a Beast Energy on it, you can simply 2-shot these Keldeos. And another amazing thing here is that Charizard, also gonna get Charizard here on the tier 1 here. Why Charizard tier 1? I'm also gonna explain this, why I'm talking about Keldeo. Keldeo also gets demolished by Double Blaze GX, which goes through any effect. So Keldeo is slow, it is inconsistent, you sometimes break and you lose against a power plant and even attacks that go through you, and 1 prize attacker. So Keldeo, no. Tier 3. Charizard on the other hand, very, very amazing. I do think the Greens Exploration build is the better way to go about this. That way you have an easy way to search out your Reset Stamp. Reset Stamp is a comeback card. This is the best deck that can use Reset Stamp. You also have PikaRom with Voltner, which can search it out, but Greens Exploration is way better. You can use a Reset Stamp and something you need. We have the Giant Heart new Stadium card. You can discard a card from the hand and get 2 Fire Energies immediately from the deck. With 4 Pokegear and 4 Welder, you can definitely get your Double Blaze out as quickly as possible. Double Blaze 200. If you get 6 energies on it, 300. At 300, that means you get a 1-hit KO on any tag team. That is fantastic. And price raise wise, we have the Outrage attack. If we get damaged a lot, we can respond. You might say, oh, we don't one-shot PikaRom anymore because we only hit 230 and Choice Band is rotated. Yeah, don't worry about it. Just smack one Shrine of Punishment into your deck and you'll be fine. That means you can just search it out with Green's Exploration, smack it on board, and bam, you one-shot PikaRom. Yeah, this is a very great deck. Green's Exploration will be the way to go. We have, of course, the Volcanions early game with Flare Starter, getting energies into play. Things like Guzma are rotated out, so your ReshiZards are a little bit more safe on the bench while you just charge them up with energies, and losing a Volcanion is just irrelevant because they still need to KO 2 tag teams. That's just amazing. That's how it goes. Yeah, next deck I'm gonna talk about is Dark Box. Dark Box, putting it at tier 2. Tested it a lot. The only thing that is, if you get your stuff, you're doing fine. It's pretty much like Quagsire Naganadel build, but this time around it's a Dark Box, same principle. If you get your stuff out, you're probably gonna win. If not, you're a bit too slow and you're fall behind. We have, of course, that Dark Lance attack of the Darkrai and Umbreon GX, which snipes 60 on a bench GX while also dishing 150 to the active. Will help out if you lower the amount of HP. You can swing in with that Mega Sableye and Tyranitar GX to get an additional prize card, and I do love the fact that you can just recycle their energies around the board with Weavile GX, which is definitely a great way to go about it. The fighting type weakness is not that huge anymore. Not a lot of fighting Pokemon are in the meta, the same way that PikaRom is still tier 1 because fighting is not around. It loses like things like Boswell GX, Lycanroc GX, etc. So yeah, being weak to fighting is good nowadays. So we have tier 2, we have Umbreon and Darkrai. This is a very amazing deck because you have so many answers. You even use Darkrai Prism Starter to get energies in play, the Naganadel to get energies. Also, I should mention that almost all of these decks you see on the screen right now, I already made deck profile videos on them. Definitely check them out on my channel. There should be a playlist in the description below, so you have, of course, a way to play these decks before Worlds even starts. Next up, we're gonna be talking about Lost March. I'm going to be putting it at the number tier 2. Lost March is great. We can use, of course, the Ultra Beast nowadays. We have Kartana, Buzzmosa, the very amazing Beast Game GX to get an additional prize card if we knock something out. The thing I'm putting it at number tier 2 is because Ultra Necrozma just wipes this deck completely. And I do think that Lost March has a great way to go about destroying tag team GXs if you get enough Pokemon in the Lost Zone. With, of course, Lost Blender, the Emolga engine, and the Trumbeaks and stuff. You definitely get enough stuff in the Lost Zone to get one-hit KOs, and it uptrades very well against GXs and tag teams in general. So I'm putting it at tier 2. The only reason I'm putting it at tier 2 is because it is a very bad against things like Ultra Necrozma and Spell Tag Giratina. Okay, talking about Ultra Necrozma, I'm gonna putting it at tier 1. I think that is very reasonable. Tier 1 Ultra Necrozma, it has answers against everything. Nowadays, you can even play B-strings with it if you find that you're not getting your Malamars out in time. You can use B-strings, spam it, get energies on Ultra Necrozma, just one-shot tag teams in general. But typically use Viridian Force, get Psychic energies in the discard pile. You can set up your Malamars with Mysterious Treasures and Communications, and of course, this is your Beat Stick, your GX Beat Stick. Next up, don't talk about, let's say, Shedinja. I'm gonna putting it at tier 3. I tested it a lot. The thing about Shedinja is you get your setup, your opponent will never take a prize card. The bad thing is you cannot finish games quickly enough. We don't have ways to discard. You can maybe run something like a Diglett and Giovanni's Exile or something like that, but you never discard enough cards, and the opponent can simply use things like Cynthia and stuff, and yeah, that way you just go in circles and time gets called, then it's a single elimination, bam, and Shedinja loses. So discarding a lot of cards from the top of the opponent's deck is a little bit harder nowadays, so I'd put Shedinja at tier 3. Not only that, there's a lot of decks that are running Lysander Labs, especially to counter spell tags, and the Shedinja gets caught in the crossfire here, so that's that. Next up, we're gonna talk about Alolan Exeggutor, one of my personal favorite non-GX decks. Tier 2, it's very amazing. Nowadays, you can play it with Altaria, buffing the damage up. You can even play it with the Giant Bombs, the new tool card for in Unified Minds. If you get damaged by 180 damage or more, they get 10 damage counters on themselves. So Alolan Exeggutor, same principle that I'm gonna talk about here, like with Keldeo. It bricks against itself. It's very hard to get it out. You do have Mysterious Treasure. You can also search things out with Netball as Execute. We also have a Psychic Execute nowadays, but still the opponent can play around it. Definitely PikaRom versions can just oh, Giant Bomb, no problem. We can just attack with Zero Aura or the Alolan Raichu GX, and there's that. But still, it's a very good one price attacker. 160 HP. That's nothing to sneeze at. Next up, Nidoqueen, gonna be putting at tier 3. Nidoqueen is very amazing. The only thing I was putting it at tier 3 is that it is weak to Psychic. top decks do run Psychic types. Talking about top decks, we're also going to put Giratina and Garchomp Tag Team GX at tier 1. It is very similar like Ultra Necrozma, but then again we play spell tags and we have an easier way to one-shot Tag Team GXs. We need less energies. Although we give up 1 extra prize card, very amazing that Giratina and Garchomp Tag Team GX, they are both tier 1. I think I'm just going to put all the Malamar versions at tier 1 except for this one. The one with the Giratina, I'm only putting at tier 2. The reason that I'm only putting Giratina at tier 2 is that, as mentioned, some decks run the Lysander Labs. Not only that, this Giratina also loses against a lot of healing with ReshiZard. Also with PikaRom, sniping and stuff, it can take 2 of them down, 2 Malamars, and then they cannot set up properly enough. Putting it at tier 2 from testing, you could have an alternate opinion. Definitely put it in the comment section below if you think it's different. But I do think these are just perfect. And talking about Nidoqueen, it is weak to Psychic. Have I mentioned that if you're weak to Psychic, you're never gonna win? Blacephalon has an answer with Naganadel. Ultra Necrozma has your Giratinas, and yeah, the other Malamar versions as well. So being weak to Psychic, Nidoqueen upgrades very well against PikaRom and ReshiZard, but the bad thing about Nidoqueen is you're having a hard time to set up with Meganiums and Swampert. You have to wait a little bit. Not only that, you're weak to Psychic. If you eventually start, oh, I'm just gonna fly in and start attacking with Nidoqueen, there comes, of course, the opponent with a Giratina or a Naganadel, and you just get wrecked. That's why I'm putting it at tier 3. Moving forward, Mewtwo Mew. I'm also gonna put it at tier 1. There's a lot of tier 1 decks nowadays. Yeah, I think tier 1 is just perfect here. Mewtwo Mew has an answer against everything because you can put any GX in the discard pile and start using the attacks. That means you can put something like a Solgaleo, a promo, in the discard pile, start accelerating energies. You can get that Greninja GX from the Detective Pikachu movie in the discard pile, start using Mist Slash to go through any effects. Same way that I'm putting Keldeo GX at the tier 3 because even Mewtwo Mew has an answer against Keldeo, and that's why that deck will never work. But Mewtwo Mew is very powerful. It has answers against everything. You can use the Altaria GX from Dragon Majesty, start using Bright Tone so you cannot get damaged by GXs, which is very amazing because not a lot of these GX-based decks, think about PikaRom, do have an answer against them. They could run 1 copy of Zapdos as a minimum, but yeah. Typically, it goes in the favor of Mewtwo Mew when they use Bright Tone. Not only that, if you get damage, you can even get things like Incineroar GX combos going along and just demolish the opponent. Okay, next up, I'm gonna be talking about, yeah, Naganadel. I'm gonna put it at tier 3. Naganadel GX with Porygon. You have a hard time to set up, that's one thing. You need your recycle energies to recycle them, and that takes a while. We don't have search for special energies, which is a shame. Although recycle energies always return to the hand. The bad thing is that I'm putting a Naganadel GX Porygon at tier 3 is that a lot of people will be running Mew from Unbroken Bonds to have a little bit of a soft answer against PikaRom, and that way this guy also gets crossed into the, yeah, how do you say that, burned in the crossfire, because you cannot use that sniping capabilities at its full potential, because if you snipe 170 damage, it gets blocked, your bench is safe if you're running Mew from Unbroken Bonds. So there's that, you have to be careful of that. That's why it's only at tier 3, but it's very fun to snipe 170 damage. If they don't run Mew from Unbroken Bonds, you have a field day destroying the Dennis all day long. Alright, moving forward, I don't think Aerodactyl. I haven't tested Aerodactyl a lot. Let me just say this. A lot of decks have energy acceleration, so I'm only gonna put it at tier 3. Let's think about it. PikaRom has energy acceleration in the form of Full Blitz. We have Blacephalon with Welder and all that stuff. We have ReshiZard with Welder, so this Aerodactyl, I don't know. It does have a great GX move that's dishing out more damage depending on how many energies the opponent's active have, but I can only use that once, and if you just set up on the bench, I don't know. It also needs to rely on that research lab to just get your Aerodactyls out. It does have a very fantastic ability, but then again, if they are running Power Plant, that ability is gone. They can use, of course, their ReshiZard, go through them. Same goes for PikaRom if they get an additional energy. Not too hard with Thunder Mountain and Tapu Koko Prism Star shenanigans, energy switch, tag switch and stuff. You can even paralyze this Aerodactyl with Alolan Raichu and Raichu. Even though you're weak to fighting, they still need to have a way to get out of the active position. I haven't tested it a lot, but I'm putting it at tier 3. Next up, Breloom. What I'm gonna do with you? I'm just gonna put it at tier 3 as well. It's very great against PikaRom, but against other decks, I don't know. You can put the opponent to sleep, but a lot of these decks will run Switch. Let's just overlook all the decks. PikaRom runs Switch, runs a skateboard for the Jirachis. Blacephalon, I don't know. It only dishes a 120 damage, and I do believe that Breloom is weak to Psychic, so you can start using the Naganadel. Interesting. ReshiZard, against ReshiZard we have enough healing to just, it only dishes out 120 damage. What's that about? Very easy. They could put us asleep, but we have mixed herbs to go about this. And Ultra Necrozma, Malamar, and Giratina versions typically run a lot of switch cards. So I don't think Breloom is gonna smack too well in the meta right now. It has a great matchup against PikaRom, but that's about it. Yeah, next up, Gengar Mimikyu. Yeah, how do I go about this? You can reset stun Gengar Mimikyu and they will break. I tested it a lot. I'm gonna put it at tier 3. Could be wrong though. The reason I'm putting at tier 3, we have of course that item lock, but you can go about it. I know a lot of these decks run of course a lot of bench space. Think about Blacephalon, Naganadel, think about Malamar versions. But if you play correctly, you can just keep your bench safe, still use items and go about destroying this Gengar Mimikyu. The good thing is that Ultra Ball is rotated. If they need to use Green's Exploration, they need to use something like Cherish Ball and Communication. They cannot get a rare candy and process with that. So item lock is not always assured. And I know things like Great Potion help out the Gengar Mimikyu, and they could use a reset stamp in their advantage to just get a lot of cards in your hand by just using Poltergeist for a huge KO. But typically, I think this deck struggles a lot with consistency. Okay, and then Whimsicott. Still haven't tested that. Whimsicott could be great, but without a lot of Ball Surge being rotated out, I think we should go put it like this. I think this is my tier list for World Championship. You're gonna see a lot of PikaRom, Blacephalon, ReshiZard, Malamar versions Mew. Dark Box might surprisingly destroy a lot of opponents if it sets up well. Lost March, same goes for that. If it doesn't face out against any of the spell tag shenanigans, it will win. Alolan Exeggutor also has a good thing going on. If a good player pilots that deck, it could also make it far. But I'm very convinced that these are going to be the top tier 1 and tier 2. Tier 3 could be wrong, could sometimes pop out of nowhere. But this is the tier list for the World Championships. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this particular tier list. Definitely try it out for yourself. I'll put a link in the description below so you can also make your tier list yourself. Definitely share it around, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to demolish the like button. I will see you guys in the next video. I'm getting myself ready to just prepare some more for the Worlds for World Championships, and I will see you guys in the next one. So have a fresh day, guys, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. Peace out.